we're going to explore emotions, feelings, and speaking. Okay, excuse me. So we have seen that all emotions matter in general in education, but in speaking more so. And that is because when you have fear, anxiety, nervousness, insecurity, lack of confidence, lack of inner motivation, this is not going to help you in performing well when speaking, right? Does that make sense? So we have to think on what we can do when we are asking our students to perform this task. The first thing to do is to be honest and to be open with your students. You were just honest and open with me in this question box. You should share this experience with your students. And your students will say, well, this is a teacher of English. And yet they felt the same way as I felt, as I am feeling right now, excuse me, right? And yet here they are teaching me English. So you're making this connection, okay? Because too many students are suppressing their emotions, especially now. You see, pre-quarantine, pre-Rona 19, things were so different regarding the teaching, the education and the teaching of English as a language. All of these months that we've been teaching online, they have not only suppressed their emotions, but I am sure, correct me if I'm wrong in your question box, that students are not as open as they used to be, that students are not participating as much as they used to be, that they are showing you with their nonverbal communication that something needs to be said, something needs to be delivered, right? But they're not doing it. And that's because these emotions, right, that make us human are being tested every day, because in their inner environment, right, with their parents, with the people that are living with them during quarantine, everyone is going through so much of their own crisis and experience with work, with financials, with the uptake, right? The upkeep of the house, okay? The uncertainty of the future. All of this is playing a role on the student in their homes. This also is not helping, right? Because our students are on technology more than ever through this time. So if we have talked about this and seen that this is true, that emotions are what gets us through life, then what emotions are getting us through our day-to-day now, especially for our students? Now, in some countries, you have gone back to school. Have you seen a difference in your students, let's say, outward behavior towards participating in class, in speaking, for example? Have you seen a difference now while you're still teaching online with your students and their participation? Because emotions are what help us in communication. So you need to have this strong bond, this strong relationship with your students in order to help them through this, to talk about things that are happening with them during this time. So let's start this activity. I want you all now to please take a piece of paper, okay, or something that you can write on, or even if you need to use your cell phone or your tablet. We're going to focus on some, let's say, key questions regarding a student of yours. A participant says, I've seen a change in my children. It seems harder for her to answer because every student is looking back at her. So a student, even though they have the desire, they have the will, they have the wanting to speak, when all eyes are on them, all of a sudden they regress and they say, oh, what have I done already? I haven't even opened up my mouth yet, right? Why are they all looking at me? And this is something that takes practice, all right, to overcome that anxiety of people looking at you, right? So this activity is going to focus on a student. I want you all right now to kindly sit back and reflect on one student that is really having a difficult time with speaking. Okay. I want you to think about that student, have his or her face in your mind, and I want you to please write down his or her full name. Write it down on the piece of paper. Write down their name on a piece of paper. Okay, please, everyone do this. You will see where I'm going to go with this activity. Okay, so we have their face. We're thinking about them right now. We've written down their name. Now, close your eyes and picture that student and their nonverbals. When I'm talking about nonverbals, I mean their behavior, their nonverbal body language. When they are asked to speak, write down something that they do. Something that they do, a trigger that when you say to them, okay, Maria, John, Pedro, could you please answer this question? Could you please tell me what you think? What is it that they do? Write that down. Okay. So we have the face, we have the full name. We're thinking about something that they do that shows us that they're not feeling confident. Now, below that, I want you to write 3 things that you know about this student. Anything at all that you know about this student. Likes, dislikes, family life, what they like to eat, what do they like to play, what sports, anything that you can think of. Write down 3 things that you know about this student. Okay. Good? Okay. Now, next question. This question, I want you to answer it in the question box, this next one. Okay. Please, everyone answer this in the question box. The student that you're thinking about, is the student a lower performing student, an average student, or a higher performing student? Write that answer in the question box, please. It is very important that I see this answer. This way I can tie this activity in. Okay, thank you. Keep going. Everyone, answer this question. I'll give you a moment. Come on. Okay. Okay, so we're about tie. We're even. Come on, there are so many of you with us today. Jump into the question box, write down the answer. Okay, is the student a lower, an average, or a higher performing student? So we're still about even. Okay. Some of you are still writing down some things that you know about the student. Okay. Take your time because this is important. You know, education, I've said this before, education today and for the future is so important regarding our relationships with students, our interactions with our students. You see, the stronger our relationship is, right? The more that we know about our students, the more that we can connect with our students, the more that we can nurture them regarding their needs in English so that they could become more prepared for later on in life. So far, we have had about a 50-50 answer. Lower and average performing, okay? No one has written higher performing, which in fact, in the other webinar, there were a few of higher performing students. And one teacher commented on, how can that be? That they're higher performing and yet they have a problem with speaking. Excuse me. Actually, regarding speaking, it does not matter what level they are. I know a lot of higher performing students that when you ask them to participate in an open-ended discussion that can be about any topic whatsoever, they're uncomfortable because they have been programmed, they have been disciplined to study speaking to pass an exam, to study topics, to study ideas and, let's say, word maps, right, on things that they're going to be given for an exam. Yet, for an interview about random subjects or topics just to talk about, let's say over a juice or just to sit back and have a chat, they're out of their comfort zone. So it doesn't really matter what level they are. In doing this activity, what you're actually seeing is that this student that you just thought about, okay, that you just profiled, has some needs that need to be met. And they're showing you that nonverbal that you wrote down. That is your cue that when they do that, you have to make an attempt to make them feel a little bit better, to feel a little bit more calm.